These stories are real new now. Former Governor Greitens ordered to pay a fee after the Missouri Ethics Commission finds finance violations during his 2016 gubernatorial campaign. We explain what those are and how Greitens is responding. The Lebanon Fire Department trains police officers on new technology. We show you how the new tool hopes to make the job safer and more efficient. Valentines Day is a popular day for deliveries, how schools around the Ozarks handle gifts and packages being sent to their buildings, and how it impacts students.
Real, new, now. This is Ozarks Fox News at 9.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight for Ozarks Fox News at 9. I'm Jennifer Abreu. John has the night off. Former Governor Greitens has been ordered to pay more than $178,000 after the Missouri Ethics Commission found 2 violations of campaign finance laws. In the report released today, the commission found the Greitens Campaign Committee, Greitens for Missouri, failed to report some non-monetary contributions to his 2016 gubernatorial campaign. Our Madison Heaver has been following the story today. She is joining us now with what she found out. Madison, so it sounds like it was the campaign. Did Governor Greitens then know about anything? Is he responsible? Did he break the law himself?
No, actually, the MEC said they did not find that Greitens knew of the violations, but as the candidate, he is still responsible for his campaign. The complaints against the Missouri for Greitens campaign were filed in June of 2018, just under 2 months after the former governor resigned. In its investigation, the MEC learned ads paid for by a Kansas City-based political action committee were done on behalf of the Greitens campaign. Missouri campaign finance law requires campaigns to report those contributions, including gifts made on behalf of a campaign. In a press release today, Greitens said, quote, "I'm grateful that the truth has won out, but this was never really about me. They launched this attack because we were fighting for the people of Missouri." Now, while the Ethics Commission is ordering Greitens to pay that fee of more than $170,000, if he pays $38,000 of that, within 45 days, he won't be required to pay the rest. And as of January 15th, Greitens' still active campaign currently has over $600,000.
All right, Madison, thank you. New at 9 tonight, firefighters and police officers, we often see them doing different jobs at the same scenes, but they depend on each other in more ways than you might expect. Tonight, our Jesse Inman was in Lebanon to see how the fire department is lending access to some of its technology for police use. Jesse, what type of devices are we talking about here?
Yeah, Jen, first responders always looking for more ways to make their jobs safer and more efficient. So Lebanon Fire is actually training the Lebanon PD to use some of their gadgets when the situation calls for it. No, we're not talking about ladders or hoses here. Fire Chief Sam Schneider gave a tutorial to police tonight on how to use 3 pieces of technology if they are ever needed. Now, one is a thermal imaging camera. It's used to search for hidden fires or victims in buildings. Second, a swivel action camera on a pole used to peek around collapsed structures or in tight spaces. And the third is a seismic device that can pick up audio extremely well, even the faintest scratching sounds through walls. Lieutenant Matthew Wright with Lebanon PD says that they found a need for devices in some scenarios, so they wanted to get all of their officers in the loop on how to use them.
A couple of incidents that's happened in recent past where we could have utilized cameras to help look into some dangerous situations before we actually put our officers in that line of danger.
While our equipment isn't designed necessarily for all of the law enforcement's tasks or operations, that we did have some video equipment that might be beneficial for them. There has been an occasion in the last couple of years where the police department was able to use one of our thermal imaging cameras to help them locate a person in a house.
Now, Lieutenant Wright says that they have a bit of an influx with new officers right now that have started on the police force. So both sides are making an effort to do more joint training to help them work together more efficiently.
Jesse, thank you. And we are just weeks away from the 2020 census officially kicking off, and local efforts are focused on finding workers. Today, at the Springfield Census office, elected officials met with community partners to talk about their initiatives. A census representative for Christian County said Southwest Missouri has had so much growth since 2010, it's important to get a complete population count in 2020, especially for Christian County, one of the fastest growing counties in the state.
This is going to be really important for us over the next 10 years because we know from the data from 2010 that everyone not counted, every 1% of Missourians who are not counted, costs about almost $80 million a year, the state.
If you're interested in applying for a job with the Census Bureau, you can go to 2020census.gov. In education coverage tonight, sending deliveries to your kids' school on Valentine's Day may seem like a nice way to sweeten their day, but one school district is asking parents to reconsider. The Mountain Home School District says it has concerns with the strain on resources and the disappointment from kids who don't receive anything. We checked with Springfield Public Schools on their stance. Most SPS schools don't allow gifts to be delivered, but Gary Elementary does, even though they discourage it. Those gifts are stored in the main office until they're picked up at the end of the day. Principal Angie Carter says to avoid distractions, presents are not delivered to classrooms. Fourth grader Addison Ungaro says she likes this policy.
It just gets too crowded and it's too much to worry about, and I know I always get stressed. I know I would get stressed if it was in my class trying to not make it be a distraction to anyone else or anything, and that would bother me.
Principal Carter says Valentine's Day is one of the busiest days for her secretaries. Looking around the Ozarks, commercial and residential properties are becoming more valuable in Branson. The city's director of planning and improvement says more people are reinvesting.
Definitely on 76 Country Boulevard, it's people redeveloping old properties, maybe that have been vacant for a couple years, or just trying to reestablish a new use and new excitement for them.
He says one reason people are reinvesting might be because the city is making it easier to get a building permit. To do that, you can log on to a new online portal called Citizen Serve. For more information, head over to bransonmo.gov. Around the region, the St. Louis County Police Lieutenant who was told to tone down his gayness in order to receive a promotion is now the commander of the department's new Diversity and Inclusion Unit. This week, 47-year-old Keith Wildhaber settled his discrimination lawsuit for $10.25 million, saying he wanted to finish his 26-year career on his own terms. Wildhaber says he is focused on learning how to promote diversity in the department. St. Louis County agreed to pay Wildhaber $7 million within 60 days and the additional $3.25 million by January 31st of 2021. In more political coverage now, a Missouri lawmaker does not want to see Missouri's prisons turn into nursing homes. He believes certain inmates who are senior citizens are serving life without parole and should be given a chance to leave prison. The legislation would allow inmates who are 65 years or older and who have served 30 years of a life without parole sentence to have their case reviewed by a parole board. Also, the crime must have occurred prior to October 1984 and include a minimum of a 50-year sentence. This is a way to address old sentencing laws which did not include the possibility of parole. Critics of the bill, like Joplin State Representative Lane Wood, say the bill fails to see what a life sentence means to victims.
And for some of these victims, the only justice they will ever receive is the sure and certain knowledge that this person is going to get every pound of justice coming to them.
The bill includes language that would prohibit a sex offender or someone with prior violent felonies to be eligible for parole. Checking in with Jamie at the Weather Lab now. Jamie, really cold out there, and we can expect it to get colder in the morning.
Yeah, it looks like tomorrow is probably going to be about as cold as we've seen all winter long. Temperatures in the single digits for the northern half of the area. This Arctic air mass, so paying just a brief visit to the area. A warming trend gets started tomorrow afternoon, and it continues to the weekend to almost spring-like levels. I'll show you those numbers next.
You're watching Ozarks Fox News at 9 with John Adams, Jennifer Abreu, and weather with Chief Meteorologist